And now set to make his way to the cage, fighting out of the blue corner, Edimilson, Kevin Souza.
Just when you've given up on social media, it's amazing what can happen. 2 weeks ago, Kevin Souza was playing video games with teammates when a Twitter follower of his mentioned him in a post responding to Patricio Pitbull's desire for a new opponent. But when Henry Corrales stepped in and agreed to take that fight next Friday night here on Spike from Mohegan Sun, it seemed like opportunity was lost. And then, in a bizarre coincidence, Patricky lost his opponent. Kevin Souza was winning.
And whether you fight Patricky or whether you fight Patricio, you're up against basically the same game. A hard puncher who always moves forward and is very, very aggressive. That's what Kevin Souza has to deal with tonight.
Jimmy's keys to victory are brought to you by Jim Beam. Make history.
Fight at range. He has a 3-inch reach advantage. He's great from the outside and stay busy. If there's a weakness to Patricky Pitbull's style, it tends to be that he looks for the power shot, he looks for the knockout. He isn't very good at winning rounds, putting minutes in the bank. If Souza can be the busier fighter, he can do that, win rounds, win the fight.
A 10-fight win streak over 4.5 years ended for Kevin Souza in his last outing, a fight he was winning and borderline dominating before he got caught. And tonight, in his Bellator debut, he steps in to the main event.
And now making his way to the cage, fighting out of the red corner, Patricky Pitbull.
And sometimes why? Fighting is humbling, and so is life. If both put you in a bad place at the same time, depression is just a short cab ride away, and that's where Patricky Friday was a couple of years ago. He's talked about it extensively. He has talked about it openly. He lost himself in and outside of the Bellator cage, but his brother was there, his family was there. They rallied behind him. He has found himself, Jimmy, and it is no coincidence that some of the biggest wins in his career have followed.
Yeah, and they've been patient. We've seen the last few fights he's had when he gets the knockout. He's waiting for it. He isn't rushing. He isn't going out and expending a ton of energy in the first round. He's finding his moments to land the knockout punch. He still gets knockouts in a slightly different way than we saw in the beginning of his career in Bellator.
Keys to victory brought to you by Jim Beam. Make history.
You see here, get inside. He has to overcome the range advantage of Kevin Souza, 3 inches. Also, embrace the grind. He's taking on a guy who might not be physically prepared, didn't really have a camp. Might want to use his takedown, his clinch, take the energy away from Patricky Pitbull. I'm sorry, from Kevin Souza.
Patricky Pitbull's knockout of Ryan Couture was spectacular. A knockout that told you not only about his skills in the cage, but his reaction to it was very telling as well.
Yeah, I mean, it's one of those things where Patricky Pitbull has been a mercurial kind of fighter. We're never sure exactly what we're going to get, but we've seen flashes of brilliance. He needs one of those tonight.
The Tale of the Tape brought to you by Dave & Buster's, the only place to eat, drink, play, and watch sports.
Look for the physical differences, the height and reach advantage of Kevin Souza. He has to make that a factor.
Main event time in Torino, Michael C. Williams style.
Ladies and gentlemen, Miller Lite presents Bellator MMA from Torino, Italia, live on Spike. The time has come for the main event of the evening. 3 5-minute rounds in the lightweight division. Sanctioned by the ISKA, supervising at Cageside President Corey Schaefer. Tonight's main event is brought to you by Miller Lite, the original light beer. It's Miller time. And now, first introducing the blue corner, At 6 foot, weighing 70.3 kilos, 155.2 pounds, making his Bellator debut, he enters with 15 professional victories, 4 defeats. From Salvador, Bahia, Brazil, introducing Edimilson, Kevin Souza. And across the cage, his adversary fights out of the red corner at 5'7", weighing 70.5 kilos, 155.2 pounds. Impressive as a professional. The Bellator veteran stands with 15 victories, 7 defeats, hailing from Natal, Rio Grande do Norte, Brazil, presenting Patricky Pitbull. And when the bell rings, the referee in charge of the action, Big John McCarthy.
Yep. Gentlemen went over the rules in the back. Protect yourself at all times and obey my commands at all times. I want you to fight clean, fight hard, but fight fair. Touch gloves now. Good luck to both of you.
This is going to be a good one.
Okay, here we go. You ready? Are you ready? Let's get it on.
The fight clock in the main event, brought to you by Miller Lite, the original light beer. Cheers, it's Miller time.
Now, Souza already showing funky angles.
Did that in his last fight against Chaz Skelly because he does not want to be taken down. He's fighting the same way, but Patricky instinctively doesn't want to go there. He's talked about going for submissions because he only has 1 professional win, but strategies change when your opponent changes.
Yeah, completely, but also this helps Souza stay away from the power of Patricky Pitbull, not just avoiding the takedown, but avoiding that power shot, the power right hand.
Patricky's so compact. He and his brother, it's easy to sit here and say, boy, those guys hit hard. You've held pads. They hit hard.
Unbelievably hard.
Both have actually talked about going down in weight. Can you see that happening? It's hard to picture.
It's hard to imagine, especially Patricky's such a giant lightweight. Really big at 155.
Patricio trying to climb that ladder back towards regaining that featherweight world title. He'll fight Henry Corrales on Friday night. Part of the spectacular coming your way. Spike Sports from Mohegan Sun. Main evented by the welterweight world title defense against Andre Koreshkov against, the other new kid on the block, Benson Henderson.
That Corrales fight, not a gimme for a former champion. That's a tough one.
See the range of Souza. He's so difficult to fight against. It's not just the stance, but he can, those looping lefts and rights are coming at you from all angles.
It's very quick, too. Very fast with the jab. If there's been a weakness to Patricky Pitbull's striking style, he hits very hard, but he tends to over-rely on the straight right hand and the left hook. Doesn't throw a lot of jabs, doesn't throw a lot of setup punches.
You know this has to be hard for Derek Campos to watch right now. He absolutely tore him apart to have to pull out of this fight. Coming off the signature win, the knockout of Melvin Gillard in Houston. Talked about Patricky becoming a more cautious fighter, in so many ways a more professional fighter. First real opportunity. Saw some of the highlights. He was so close to knocking out Eddie Alvarez in one of the great fights really in Bellator history. Fight the way he does, particularly early in his career. That one mistake against elite fighters in the world is all it takes, and that's been the difference. Patricky has gotten to the doorstep, but hasn't been able to close that signature win.
And let's be honest, when everyone compares you to your brother, who's been nothing but consistent in the Bellator cage, he seems, less consistent almost by comparison than his brother. So consistent, a world champion. Patricky has always wanted to be on that level, and he's almost there. Oh, nice
Good
left hook
by Souza.
Anytime you make Patricky Pitbull go for a takedown, you heard him.
Patricio, even with a loss to Daniel Strauss, 20-3, and those first 2 losses were narrow
Very
split
close
decision losses. Now let's see if Souza has improved his work on the ground. So counterintuitive for Patricky Pitbull to want to fight on the ground, but this might be one of those nights.
Just happens to be a Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu black belt. Does have real submission skills. We just don't see them very often. Souza with those long legs, long arms, can try and tie Patricky up. Only a minute left to go in the round. Problem is, this makes this round very difficult to score. Basically have one left hook versus a takedown at this point.
It's just the second time that Souza has fought outside of Brazil in his 20 professional fights.
That local scene in Brazil is a shark tank, make no mistake.
And with the addition of Souza, 155 and 145 in Bellator, brutal. Pretty good shark tank too. This is an embarrassment of riches to be able to grab Kevin Souza and add to that list at 155 or 145, whatever he decides is his future. Fighting at 155 here worked out for him on short notice. He got Patricky Pitbull to take this fight to the ground. Where will it go in round two? Souza probably delivered the best shot of that first round. You don't often see Patricky Pitbull, by necessity as opposed to strategy, take the fight to the ground, but it's looked like that's what happened with about a minute and a half to go in the round.
Yeah, I completely agree.
Yet, first round for Patricky.
I scored the first round for Patricky Pitbull, and I'll tell you why. He had a left hook. Pitbull had the takedown, but throughout the first round, it was Pitbull moving forward, Pitbull being the aggressor. That's why I give him the slight edge, 10-9.
This is the new trend because Patricky fights tend to be very close fights. Most notably, the Derek Anderson decision.
Very close fights, and you know, something I told you when you arrived here in Italy, I was talking about it. I said certain fighters win fights, others win rounds. He's not a round-winning kind of fighter. He usually has to hurt you to win a round. He doesn't think about, am I ahead in round number 2, round number 3? It's, can I knock this guy out? That's how he thinks. It's a different way to approach fighting. It's a different way to approach fights.
If you had a full camp to prepare for Souza, he'd be a difficult fighter to prepare for. Short notice translates to feeling out in the main event. Feeling out translates for Patricky Pitbull into not doing what he does to be successful.
Surprised we're not seeing more low kicks. With Souza's stance, he's really vulnerable to that. Also, it's a great way to slow a fast guy down. Start from the feet up, body kicks and leg kicks. Takes the wind out of a fast opponent.
What makes him vulnerable with that stance? Why?
Look at how low he is. He can't lift up his lead foot and check, and he can't exactly switch stances fast enough to avoid a kick to his front leg. Muay Thai fighters, kickboxers, to check the lead leg, generally have it real light. They stand a little bit taller. They're light on their lead foot. He's very heavy on his lead foot.
License and registration, please.
Crowd appreciating that one. This is an issue in combat sports, period. It's, I want to win, but I want to entertain. Sometimes it's hard to do both, because Patricky right now is fighting the smart fight. He's letting Souza come to him, chopping him down with the leg kick, the body kicks. He's fighting smart, and he gets a warning that he's not fighting enough. It's a fine line. Now see Pitbull loosening up a little bit. Nice timing. Again. Beautiful timing on that takedown.
Round one, the takedown was defensive in nature. This was offensive.
Completely offensive.
Is the thought process, I can't figure this guy out.
Yeah, neutralize his speed, neutralize his weapons, keep him on the ground, take away everything he has in terms of those physical gifts, that athleticism.
The good-looking one there is Matt Mitrione, by the way. Next Friday night on Spike, after Ben Henderson challenges Andrei Koreshkov for the welterweight world title debut of Bellator kickboxing. That good-looking guy will be beside me for the debut. We will see him inside the Bellator cage before too long. His free agency has arrived big time in MMA.
Matt Mitrione coincidentally has trained with Kevin Souza.
Yes.
He says he's one of the hardest workers he's seen in the gym. Spar all day and then do cage work and drills afterward. He said he knew he'd have to be ready for a fight whenever they called. That's exactly what happened.
As Patricky Pitbull tries to solve this puzzle. You know, there's a whole lot of 145 and 155ers in Bellator doing the same thing right now. So who's that new guy in school?
And I think in this round, tactically, he's done a good job. He's waited for Souza to come to him. As soon as he's been in range, he's hit him with kicks. Got him with the takedown. Crowd getting on him, but Patricky Pitbull so far has fought pretty smart.
This is a crowd that just saw their hometown hero, Alessio Sakara, score an emotional and violent second-round knockout.
But don't expect them to be overly patient. His major weapon, the left hook and the straight right hand, have been a non-factor so far in this fight for Patricky Pitbull.
Interesting rounds to score. In such a critical fight in Bellator at 155. And we're going to round 3.
Go up.
To round 3 we go. Jimmy, Patricky Pitbull, during both in-between rounds, they elevated his legs. Why?
Very popular in Muay Thai. They feel it helps you recover to have all that blood flowing up instead of down to your feet. Like I said, really popular in Muay Thai. Don't see it all the time in MMA.
Third and final round. Go after it. Okay, you ready? Get up.
All right, how do you see this through 2?
I see it 2 rounds to none for Pitbull so far. The second round is a real toss-up. The first one extremely close as well. I don't think either fighter can think they have it in the bag.
If a judge had it 2018 for Souza right now, that wouldn't be out of the realm of possibility.
Not surprising at all. I'd be surprised if at least one judge didn't, let me put it that way.
Souza's reacted to a couple of those leg kicks. It's kind of what you're talking about, the inability to defend against them.
Well, that's why I gave him round number 2. I thought Patricky was effective with the leg kicks. Obviously got the takedown, a little bit of ground and pound, but basically the leg kicks to me gave him round 2, but it's anybody's fight right now.
Fans may not appreciate it, but we can. The maturation of Patricky Pitbull. He is now a tactician and still has that crazy knockout power.
Nice right hand.
Which he just put on display. Came inches away. Souza, so difficult to time.
You see the difference in frames with Patricky Pitbull being stockier, more compact, a little stronger. When he hits, even when it doesn't hit clean, it forces Souza back.
In that last sequence, these are so important because the majority of these rounds have been spent doing exactly what you're looking at right now. So that's what judges will remember.
Yeah, exactly.
Patricky Pitbull has designs on the world title. He has designs on everybody at 155, all the big names. But he needs to put together consecutive wins. He needs to put together strong performances.
So far Souza hasn't done anything with his power side in terms of we've seen some left hooks, we've seen some jabs. He hasn't been able to back Patricky Pitbull up. I think in the eyes of the judges, that's very important.
This is a guy, remember, 14 finishes in his 15 fights. 15 wins, 13 by knockout, 1 submission victory. A 4.5-year winning streak that barely ended in his last fight in November.
I'm really surprised Souza, he's been effective with the jab. He's flicked it out well, it's been fast. He hasn't used it to set up the rest of his offense, hasn't used it to set up his power. You have him biting on the jab, but you're not, throwing combinations off of that. That's surprising.
If you're wondering where Patricio is, because he is often in the corner, they are often in each other's corners almost religiously. Souza goes to the ground, can he get out of trouble? Patricio is in the air, flying to the States in advance of his fight on Friday night at Mohegan Sun. Tweeted out good luck to his brother. But it is so unusual to not see the other around. That's why.
So much moral support, having those guys, having his brother in his corner. They each know what it's like. They know what it's like to get in there and suffer. They know the pain of watching their brother lose. Not many people know what a fighter goes through. They each have somebody in their family who does. Little Portuguese from Big John McCarthy.
Seen it all, done it all, spoken it all. Souza has taken some good shots in this fight, but has he done enough offensively?
So far, I have it 2 rounds to none for Patricky Pitbull. They've been close, but it's that inability to show his power.
Smart.
Yeah, great, trying to ice the round and the fight. It's in guillotine position. I can't see if he's under the neck, though. He is not. Let it go.
He's talked so much about wanting to get a submission win in Bellator. Now he's going for it.
He can lock his hands. He might be able to finish this, but he can't.
But in many ways, it appears he already has. But I'll say this, when Patricky Pitbull fights go to the judges, strange things happen. Patricky Pitbull needed a signature win to step forward at 155. Did he get it in the main event? We'll find out next. A more mature Patricky Pitbull, a more veteran Patricky Pitbull, mixed it up in this one.
Yeah, that's right, used his takedown, used his low kicks. He went to the other tools in his arsenal because, let's face it, the power punches weren't there. Souza very elusive, none of those landing, but pushing Souza back. Those little tiny moments, they're gonna weigh heavily with the judging.
Just keep in mind, Patricky Pitbull is 11-2 when fights end early. 9 times he's gone to the judges' cards. 5 of those 9 he has lost. Let's find out from Michael C. Williams.
Ladies and gentlemen, having gone the distance, we'll go to your 3 cage-side judges. Judges Howard Hughes, Tobias Gerald, and Mark Goddard all see the fight exactly the same at 30-27, all for the winner by unanimous decision, Patricky Pitbull.
He needed the step forward, he needed the win streak, he got both.
Against an awkward opponent he didn't have time to prepare for, fought a smart fight. Great job by Patricky Pitbull.
1 step closer to the world title shot for Patricky Pitbull.